They're a flashpoint in American culture, a form of self-protection some see as an inherent right, and that others see as a threat to public safety.
There's nothing normal about burying all your childhood friends.
The Second Amendment of the Constitution outlines the right of the people to keep and bear arms. But what does that mean in 2021?
It guarantees your ability to be able to defend yourself or fight back.
This week, we're exploring all sides of the issue, from the efforts to reduce gun violence and deaths to the ways guns help keep people and our environment safe. This is The Race. Welcome to The Race. I'm Dan Grossman. This week, we're in rural Alabama, one of the country's most dangerous states when it comes to gun violence per capita. But the conversation around guns here goes far beyond safety. It focuses on something we've all taken more time to enjoy during the pandemic: nature. In the vast landscape that envelops the furthest corners of Alabama,
just a minor slope,
Marianne Hudson feels at home.
The perfect storm of moisture, canopy, and shade conditions. I've always been one who felt like you enjoy the world around you the more that you know about it.
If there is something to discover,
I came down here to look for a snake, and I found some snake evidence.
She will find it.
The male has these brilliant metallic blue.
And if there's a correlation to understand about these lands and its inhabitants, she will explain it.
Guns in America and their purchase and their sale have a lot to do with our ability to conserve wildlife. Just as the relationship between these wild species is very interconnected with predator and prey, so does the effect of the funding on these resources.
In 1934, the United States passed the Federal Aid in Wildlife Restoration Act, commonly known as the Pittman-Robertson Act. It mandated that each year, 10% of pistol and revolver sales, 11% of firearms and ammunition sales, and 11% of bows and archery sales would go to the Secretary of the Interior as a way to fund conservation efforts across the country. Think of it like a big pot of money that states would only then be able to access based on the number of hunting and fishing licenses it sold that year. It means for the last 87 years, a majority of the work to protect endangered species, their habitats, and the lands we all enjoy hasn't been funded through income taxes, but these.
It's a fact that we try to push anytime that we do a hunter education class. We've also started some firearms one-on-one classes.
Jason McHenry is a sergeant with the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. His salary is funded with that money, as is upkeep of this and every other Alabama state-owned gun range.
I think it's paramount that they understand that. It gives them as citizens buy-in, to understand that not only am I just buying a license to, I guess you could say, have a check in the box and know that I'm obeying, I guess, the law and regulation, but I'm also, as a citizen of Alabama, directly impacting conservation efforts.
This model is not unique to Alabama. It is followed by every state in the country. For the last several years, federal money given to states for conservation has fluctuated between $600 million and $800 million. But with talks of new gun regulations revived in Washington, that number could go down next year if legislation is passed. The beauty here is innate.
These types of places and the things you can hear and see out here provide basically some type of ability to meet the human need for connection to the wild.
But the stewards of this land understand its preservation relies on a connection much more complicated than the simplicity you might find here. As gun sales reach a record high in the U.S., women and Black Americans are buying more guns than ever before. As Alexa Liacko shows us, one man is making sure his community is firing its weapons safely.
The guns are real, but they don't fire bullets. An unconventional shooting range for a group that's making history too.
We are standing in the Colorado's first black-owned gun range.
This is the 1770 Armory and Gun Club. Anubis Haru started the club in Denver just a few months ago. He realized his community had no place of their own to learn about guns.
It's important to have someone that looks like you sometimes. When you're learning certain things, you just naturally feel more comfortable when you're learning from someone who understands your walk and where you're from.
And after last year, he knew it was needed.
A lot of people don't feel safe with, the current climate, with certain political groups that are in operation.
Now the black community has a space to learn a powerful lesson.
Your Second Amendment is something that doesn't guarantee your safety, it guarantees your ability to be able to defend yourself or fight back.
And that means training, which is easier here.
There you go, just like that.
The laser cartridges are much cheaper than buying ammo for a live range. And the classes are held in the city's historic black neighborhood, making this truly a place for everyone.
Let's make this interactive. From our Latino brethren, our LGBTQ family, they all say pretty much the same thing. It's like, hey, we feel comfortable here. So that's one of the reasons that we're here, and women especially.
Anubis was surprised how many women immediately signed up for classes and came out to the club's live fire range nights. He's glad women are seeing this gun club isn't a boys' club.
Yeah, you're out.
All right. Woo! Woo!
Women made up 40% of gun purchases in 2020, and gun sales to black Americans were up by 60%. Almost half of the record-breaking 20 million guns sold last year were to first-time buyers. Buyers like Sonia Edwards.
I finally said, let's do it, because I think this is like something that needed to be done in my heart. We just need to be protected, because any and everything is happening right now.
Both these women joined the club to find safety in a time of uncertainty.
I think that's a fear for, anybody of color.
We're not that soft target anymore. We're gaining knowledge and we're starting to become a hard target.
Every night at the range is helping break down barriers and build community.
I like the Armory because, one, they are black owned, but they're not black exclusive.
It's making gun ownership more accessible and giving these women a space in a male-dominated world.
Yeah, just like that.
For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacko.
President Joe Biden recently took executive action in an effort to reduce gun violence. The goal of some of those orders is to close loopholes in existing laws. We're looking at some of those loopholes, and we'll explain exactly what the Second Amendment says about the right to bear arms when The Race continues.